This video will show you how to switch from 4-point placement to center placement to stitch maybe a partial row at the very end of your quilt. Sometimes your quilt comes up short, a couple of inches, and you don't want to sew off the bottom, so this is how you do that. This particular quilt I'm doing has 5 zones. I'm on zone 4, and I'm set. I'm going to go ahead and sew as if my machine is moving. Now I'm in simulation mode, so you will not see my machine, but you can see what it would be doing. So when it gets to the end here, we're ready to say finished zone, proceed to next, and then of course answer yes to the box in the middle. You're going to get the needle up warning unless you have checked do not show again. So click OK. Your machine is going to move down to where you need to select for the next row, which my next zone is 5, and it wants me to mark 5A. So I will usually put a pin or make a mark, somehow, however you make a mark here, even with an erasable marker or something. And then you select in the middle, you go to next mark, get the same warning. Your machine is going to move all the way over to where 5B should be. So then you would make your mark here. So now you'll see over on the right you have B, on the left you have A. Take a measuring tape and put the 1-inch marker at A and go all the way over to B. And whatever that number is, find the very middle. And then mark on your quilt on this same line. Just put a pin or something there to mark exactly where the center of A and B are. Okay? Then you're going to click continue. Get these messages. Okay. Well, now it wants you to, of course, I pretend that I have moved my machine up. I've rolled my quilt up, and I know that my I've got to have my foot at least this high. So just ignore these messages, or I mean you have to hit OK on them, but you're not actually going to mark the A and B as you have in the past. So at this point, go to Zone Manager, yes, and down in the right you're going to select Center Placement, click OK. Do you need help moving the fabric? No, we've already moved it essentially. Now instead of marking A and B, with your machine like you have for the rest of the quilt, you're just going to mark the center. So move your quilt, move your machine foot over wherever you put that mark for the center. Okay, so I'm going to say mine was about right here. This represents my machine foot on my quilt. So there's my mark where I had pinned it from before, and then come down and select center placement, and you will see that your design is now placed, and it should match up perfectly with your zones 1 through 4. But now let's say the bottom of your quilt has actually turned out to be right around in here. Sometimes we can calculate these things to death, and they always come up short. So in this case, you only want to sew to about right here. And what you do is come down to the bottom where these diamonds are, and you want to select the one on the left for where you want it to stop sewing. So first you've got to move your machine to wherever you want it to stop sewing, and make sure that if your quilt is not straight, which happens to me sometimes, the right side is longer than the left. So make sure that this line is going to cover the right side and the left with stitching. So I move my machine there, then I press the diamonds, and it, you can see right here where it cuts off. And normally it would have sewn down to the green line, but now it's going to sew just to here and straight across. And you will get this message that it's out of the safe area, but that's okay. And it does look like it is, but it's just cutting off that bottom. So move your machine over to the start point, pull your bobbin, and then when you select sew, it will stitch out your partial row and end hopefully at the bottom of your quilt. So I hope this helps.